Welcome back to the Outdoor Talk Podcast. We are here today, live in the studio.
Live action.
Yes, sir.
Live action. I feel like I need to get used to
Live
the
action?
distance. No, the distance, man.
Oh, the distance.
Well, let me tell you something.
Let's hear
You
it.
ready?
I'm hearing it. Let's hear it.
The Rona got me, man.
The Rona got you.
The
I know,
COVID
you've been down and
put
out.
me down. Put me down. But I'm back.
Yeah, how was it? Did you...
It was good.
Symptoms? Did you get the shot?
So,
Did you,
no. I would highly recommend no one to get the shot. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, if you want to get it, go get it if you already have it.
Your discretion is advised.
Yeah, basically. No, it was good. It was good. And I say good, I was like, man, this is a joke until I got it.
Yep.
And my body literally would ache. If I took a nap, if I woke up, I was still aching. And that's the worst part for me. I lost my taste and smell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what
and
happened
had
to me,
body
too.
aches.
I had the Rona, and I lost my taste and smell and had really bad headaches. But other than that, I was fine.
Yeah.
But my headache was so bad, like it made me not want to do anything.
Exactly.
It was like, but I used to get headaches all the time, so like I'm kind of used to it, like migraines. But this time it was in a different spot of the brain and the head, and it just terrible.
Made it hard on you, didn't it?
Yeah.
I walked in there and that doctor was like, "You think you have it?" And I was like, "Okay, it's why I'm here. First off, I have to get tested for work." Okay, so we did the rapid test. He was like, majority of the people that come in here, if you have a 99-degree temperature to 100-degree temperature, that is the COVID temp.
Yep.
And I was like, man, that's unique. It's cool to know.
Yeah,
too.
low grade.
Low grade fever. He also said too, just because you have to isolate yourself doesn't mean you have to stay isolated. He's like, you can go outside.
Yeah.
Man, I took advantage of that. I had a week off work. Now, like I said, I was aching, but I was like, my body, I need to move. Like I need to exercise.
That's the best thing for it. You need to get them lungs exercise so you don't. They don't like. I think the mucus in your lungs over time, like older people, I think it crystallizes and makes them harder to breathe.
Ooh.
So that's why you need to get out and exercise those lungs.
Man, I went out and changed some batteries and some game cameras, changed SD cards, and
Heck
then
yeah.
unfortunately I didn't take my chainsaw. And of all things to do on the day that I had the Rona, I took my little handsaw that I used to cut some limbs in the tree. Mm-hmm. It's a rigid, it's a nice little handsaw.
Yeah.
And try to cut down. It's probably like a 4-inch diameter tree, man. Like I was sitting there sawing on that thing.
Yeah.
And it was pretty tall too. But the reason why I was doing it is I was trying to make a shooting lane.
I got you. Preparing for next season.
Yes, sir. And if you can just take the time to at least once a month before next season, and I know you've been doing a ton of work. I want you to tell us what you've done.
Well, that's kind of what I want to get into this podcast. I want to talk about what we've been doing in preparation for next season and doing a little land management, a little food plot action.
There you go.
We're going to get into that here in a minute, but get back to your tree cutting experience.
Yeah, no, it was just terrible. I wish I would have took a chainsaw, but I was cutting over my head too.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of glad I had the handsaw.
Mm-hmm.
It V's, so it splits. Mm-hmm. And I only ended up cutting one side. I was like, you know what? I'll come back another day when I have more energy and cut that other side. Put up a game camera, though, on it. And what it is, it essentially is a crossing right next to a creek, and we've seen some big deer in there. So
heck yeah.
It's about 100 yards from the other stand that I have.
Nice.
And,
I like them creek bottoms. That's one of my favorite places to hunt, down a creek bottom. Usually they're wide open. They got a lot of grass on the floor. Depends if your canopy's closed in or not. But
another thing, not to interrupt you there,
ahead.
but another thing too I'm super pumped about is the fact that I'm actually leasing this spot this year. I'm going to have the advantage, the upper hand for sure when I'm hunting the field.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to get in there and hand fertilize some of
sure.
that grass so it really sprouts, and then go in there and plant that food plot that we talked about.
Definitely.
Right now is a good time to plant for the upcoming year, in my opinion, and I know that you're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to that.
Well, it's getting that time. As soon as the soil's hit about 60 degrees, you want to start planting and getting in your spring/summer food plots, and it's a great time to do it. Right now in our area, it's pretty wet, so you can't get in there. We don't have a no-till drill, which I'd love to get. We just have a plow. I mean, it's not a plow, a disc. So I just lightly disc. I don't like to turn over the dirt too much because then you start losing some soil moisture. But right now the moisture ain't a problem. But yeah,
Honestly, that's a good thing about Texas too. The humidity. I feel like we have a ton of moisture here without really.
We do until it's late summer, and then it dries out, and that soil just bakes. So you really need to keep a good ground cover of some grass. It's for like a mulch, pretty much.
Okay.
It holds the moisture in. It's like a little mini greenhouse.
Yeah, thankfully the landowner before me that was managing the property ended up putting in a food plot already.
Yeah.
So I do have clover, and I'm pretty sure clover is one of the
Perennial. It
Yes.
comes back every year.
Continues to come
And
back.
A good clover stand, you can actually, it'll last for like a long time if you keep maintaining it right. And you can overseed it every year, like in the fall. You want to put some more clover seed out, and you don't have to disc it or nothing, just broadcast over the top.
Yeah.
And then that seed will work its way down into the soil. Once it rains on it, it'll germinate underneath what's already growing.
Yeah.
So then springtime comes, it pops up. The thing about clover, what you really need to do, if you want to have a good clover stand, right in the winter, in the springtime, spring and summer, when it starts popping up, you want to mow that clover. Like you want to knock the tops off of it, and it keeps the weeds at bay. And the clover will grow faster than the weeds, but it'll knock the weeds down. So that'll keep your clover stand really nice, weed free. And then
Tip of the day.
Mow your clover.
Mow your clover.
Another thing you mentioned, you said you're going to do a little hand fertilizing, or you're going to get a little hand seeder and fertilize all your native grasses. There's been studies done. If you add triple 13 fertilizer, 100 pounds per acre to your native grasses and forage, you will almost double your protein content of your native grasses, which is crazy because it's like a natural food plot. God put the grass here for the reason.
There it is.
And it's pretty crazy. So
That is nuts.
yeah, so there's really no need to. A food plot's really good. It's a really good spot to get something different, supplement some deer, and get a little spot for that shot. But the deer are bouncing around, getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Well,
So it's really good to.
If you're taking advantage of the off season and you're able to do work not only out in the fields but in the hardwoods too,
Well, that's what I've been
you're
doing.
tripling your chances.
For sure.
You're tripling them.
And that's what I've been doing here lately. I've been doing a little edge feathering, and essentially what edge feathering essentially what edge feathering is you don't want a hard edge, and a hard edge is from grass straight up to the trees. So like think of cow pastures, the cows will feed up, you shred right beside the tree line because you want that for your cows production. But for a wildlife standpoint, you want that buffer zone, so you want a soft edge. So you want to feather out your tree line. So essentially it's like, say like you start at little grass, and then you work your way up to a little bit taller grass and a little taller, and then you get your forbs and your shrubs and your trees. So it's like a 45-degree angle almost from the ground to the top of the trees. So it's a buffer zone for the deer, the turkeys. They can bed in it. They can forage on it on woody browse.
So essentially having the grass taller towards the
edge of the
yeah. Okay. Edge of the field, fence line, tree line, etc.
Well, deer and turkeys, they're all creatures of the edge. So they walk around the edge. You always hang your tree stands on the side of an edge of a field, and them deer walk around. The deer walk. Sorry, tongue twister. The deer walk along the edge. So what you're doing, you're just creating that soft edge where the deer feel comfortable. They come out to the food plot, eat a little bit, and then something spooks them. They just go right back in the edge, and it's thick, and they can just hang out right there. And then turkeys,
safe zone, essentially feeling safer than they would. Walking out with no cover.
Yep. And it also, the turkeys will get out there in the little poults. They'll first off, the hen will nest there, and then she'll take her poults out in the field, bug, and then go right back in there when the hawk flies over, try to swoop down and grab one of them suckers.
I think I've shared this in a previous podcast, but hawks, let me tell you, any type of big bird in a tree stand, I don't like. I'm sorry, crows, if they're nesting close, nope, sorry, not today.
My favorite's when you're sitting.
Freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, my favorite's when you're sitting in a tree stand, that owl will land on the tree behind you, and you don't know it, and you're like, ooh, ooh, jump. What the heck? Yeah. Birds don't bother me.
Did I ever tell you about that?
Yeah, you told me about that. That's pretty funny.
The owl. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But here lately, I've been out there, not to change the subject about your owl story, but here lately,
you're good.
I've been doing a little edge feathering, and then I've also our place has a bunch of eastern red cedars. And eastern red cedars, they can be very, very problematic, and they just suck all the moisture out of the ground. They shade the ground. Yeah. But we have way too many cedars, so I've been falling cedars, and I'll just leave them lay, and then I'll pull them out the tractor, or I'll just leave them there and give them about a year or two for the leaves to start turning brown, and then once you slap that cedar tree, then it's ready to burn.
Well, if you don't follow Nelson on Instagram, I'm pretty sure it's in Nelson.cobb, COBB.
_.
_.
I used to have that one, but I deleted it.
Okay, and that was just for his hunting adventures, etc. So be sure to go give him a follow, and on top of that, check out some of the photos he's posted recently. And he has, man, that the edge cut that you did though, that was really cool.
Well, you need to get out there and see it and see what I've done. I still got a little bit more work to do on it, make it a little bit bigger, but yeah, it's about 45 minutes of chainsaw work.
It looked good.
A little sweat equity.
It takes so minimal effort basically to get out there, work an hour, work 2 hours, and you've already accomplished so much for next season just by doing an hour's worth of work. So take advantage of the days off you have and get out there and enjoy the nice fresh air.
Yep.
If you're clearing your lungs because of Rona, or if you're just trying to enjoy some peace and quiet, get out there. Well, chainsaw. Did you use one?
I did. I ran that chainsaw.
It's
I ran
probably not that quiet.
3 tanks of gas through that sucker. Woo. I know. And but yeah, now that the days are getting longer, I have time after work. I get off at 4, run out to the ranch, which ain't very far, about 15 minutes from where I worked, which is really nice. So I can get out there and work for an hour or two. Maybe shoot a hog. Shot some hogs the other day, by the way.
Yeah,
that's pretty fun. So
it's cool seeing that. Your YouTube just spreading like a wildfire. I know.
Well, I'm pumped.
Reached 100,000 views.
I know, it's crazy.
Here recently, that's a big milestone.
Definitely
for me to
never
see.
Thought
because I remember when he started.
I know that's potentially 100,000 people watching my videos.
Exactly.
I mean, I know some people watch them like 3 or 4 times, and I watch them like 5 times. I have them on rerun, just racking up those 100,000 views.
Oh yeah, there it is. No,
I'm just kidding.
Hey, but check this out too. Not to go off in a too deep of a rabbit hole here, but I had a gentleman I talked to the other day, and he talked about TikTok. Do you know what it takes to become an influencer, a content creator / influencer on TikTok? Do you know what it takes?
1 viral video,
basically. But on top of that, it's 10,000 likes per month and a minimum of 10,000 followers.
Wow.
And then you can start making money.
Dang.
And I was like, that would be an awesome idea for us to do, or, whoever, you, me, both. Get on TikTok and let's start making these like shorter little videos that people are just interested in.
Little edge feathering TikTok, a little bit of cedar falling.
Any tips and tricks of the trade that you can think of,
Yep. We also tried to do some prescribed fire here lately, but the conditions just weren't right. We had really good low humidity, but the ground and all the fuel we had was just still wet from a few rains back. And then the next day, it would have been a better day to burn, but I just didn't have the help, and I didn't want to take on the burn by myself, which could be potentially dangerous. So when you're out there burning, which prescribed fire is one of the best tools you can do for any property. Burn off your grasses to regenerate new growth. Burn off the woods, get the duff and leaves off the ground so the sun can hit the forest floor and transfer that energy down to promote new growth and set back some woody browse.
Sounds so sophisticated right now.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I'm learning, and I've been studying this subject for a while now, and I'm really bad about explaining myself. I can take in the knowledge and do it myself, but it's so hard for me. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a doer, but I'm trying to learn how to teach. So bear with us, and I'll explain my knowledge the best I can. I'll give y'all a few links to some more information.
You have a video, though, of your burn, correct?
Well, I started one, but it didn't turn out, so I didn't make it. But I did have a video of the edge feathering. Okay. And it's going to come out here pretty soon, probably next week, probably the end of this week, actually.
I recently watched your shed hunting video, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, I didn't find any sheds, but it was fun.
I know.
I tried. I did find a nice set the other day. I just walked right up on it, and I need to show you that, by the way, before you leave.
Okay.
It's a nice.
Well, I mean, I saw pictures of it.
Yeah.
That was a decent-sized deer, too.
Yeah, probably about a 120-inch deer, maybe 130. It was a nice deer, pretty heavy. It wasn't real wide, but he was nice.
Anything over 100 inches, too, to me, speaks.
Well, around here, it's pretty nice, especially when you got a bunch of pressure from other hunters and just the neighbors hunt, too. And it's hard to, it's better to talk to your neighbors and then like maybe work out a deal, like what deer you want to shoot, what age class, whatever, your criteria. But it's when you don't know your neighbors and you don't know, but you can meet them. It's not that hard to do. You just go walk up to their door and say, "Hey, can we have a conversation?"
Bring them a Walmart cupcake,
even
or something.
Even if they don't hunt, just have a conversation with your neighbor, maybe, and just explain to them what you're doing.
Just build a relationship with them, get that established, and then you can start talking about some deer.
Yes, sir.
But on top of that, too, I will say this: not to say I'm greedy by any means, but during rut, everything's fair game. I don't care if Ricky, Joe, Bob, Dale Jr. down the road said he's going to kill this big 14 point that's been on his land. If it travels 5 miles to my land and it's eaten at my corn,
well, you don't own the deer. The deer,
go.
the deer might be on your property, might be on their property. So it's everybody's deer. Honestly, It just depends where it's at in front of you at the right time, right place, right time.
Hey, and that's what it's all about, being out there in the woods. You never know what you're going to see. You never know what's going to come out of the woods.
November.
And
I love it.
It literally fires me up just thinking about that. You're sitting in the stand. You're like, man, is today going to be the day? Is it? It could be. Exactly.
You never know.
Man, that was a jinx speech.
But if you do all jinx Yomiko. But if you do all these management practices and do your edge feathering, your prescribed fire, your whatever, create some bottlenecks, you'll have better success, and you watch your deer grow. And it's very, very rewarding when you do all this work and you just see the deer and the wildlife use the habitat you created for them.
Oh, yeah.
That's better than hunting, in my opinion.
I liked your caption, too. I mean, it pretty much sums everything up on what your caption said, but you're like, it's just as fun, if not funner.
I think so.
Doing what you're doing out there.
I might not have the best grammar.
Preparating. Excuse me. I said preparing. What is that? Is that a medicine? Is that a type of
Permethrin is like bug spray, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was just a
preparation eggs.
Yes.
It's like that's for raw butthole.
Woo, man.
Hemorrhoids.
So at my job right now, yeah, no, we might need to cut that, but I will go ahead and into this a little bit further in the rabbit hole.
That's what we do.
This girl at work not too long ago, she came up to me and she farted, and I was like, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Are you kidding me?" Like, she farted, didn't say a word, and walked up to me, helping me with a little, I say project that I was working on. I was just helping
crop dusting.
Man, and it stunk bad. And I didn't know if I should say anything to her. And I kept it in. I didn't say anything to her. Just let her help me.
Yeah. Well, everybody passes gas, so it doesn't matter. But it's a funny thing to do. I mean, it's not a funny thing to do.
It's not.
It's
when
a funny.
Girl farts and walks up to you. Like if it was a
but it's a laugh. It's funny. Everybody can laugh about it. I think that's the only reason why God made us fart, so everybody can laugh at it.
Yeah, or pass out from the smell. I mean,
And then you laugh about it.
I know. I almost hit my head on the desk. It stunk so bad. But hey, no, listen. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was going way off there for a second. I don't even know why I shared that, honestly.
I don't know.
Oh, you said hemorrhoids. Yes, that's what it was. No, hemorrhoids. It's what triggered this. No, I know. But this is where it was coming from. I was telling this gentleman, there's my buddy's dad, about this incident. And he said, because some of these girls, man, they'll just start conversating. It's like, I don't really want to listen to this. Like, I'll go in here, let y'all talk about whatever you're talking about. Sometimes they try to be sneaky, too, about what they're talking about. He's like, son, let me tell you something. He said, if you don't like what they're talking about, you talk to them about hemorrhoids. And he said it so stern, and I was like, well, I guess that's one way to get them, talking about something else. Or
there's probably two types of people. People that got them, people that are going to get them. But anyways.
Back to this preparation, I'm sorry. Preparation.
What else are you doing on your little farm, your little deer lease are you going to do for this upcoming season?
I feel like everyone has a terrible tendency of waiting till the last minute. First off, we've 100%. Talked about this.
I'm guilty of that,
and I am as well. But I'm tired of being guilty of it. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like I want to do more. Not that I'm applying myself 110%.
Yeah.
But even applying myself 25% in the off season is way more than I ever did in the first place.
For sure.
But we all do this. We all have a tendency of doing this, and that's going to set up new stands during season.
Yep. Or moving stands when you. Yeah. Well, the deer they do pattern a little different when season comes around. Mm-hmm. Just they're coming from summer food or summer patterns into fall and winter patterns. But think back on the last season, and usually on a home farm, you kind of know the deer how they're moving and what they're doing, and maybe they move a little. They don't change much.
Right.
That's all I'm getting at.
Right.
So look at the past season and where the deer were, and set up on those spots, and just play the wind right. Look at your food sources, look at tracks, everything.
Exactly.
Just use lanes, and definitely prepare ahead of time, and it will save you a lot of headaches.
And hopefully, get you a good deer.
Yeah.
so you get mounted, so you have extra meat, etc.
Yep. Now, I will say one thing about prepping preseason and putting all this work in. It's very rewarding when it happens.
Right.
But don't be jealous when the guy down the road doesn't do anything but comes hunts one day a week or one day a year.
Yeah.
And then shoots that big deer.
That's hunting.
That's hunting.
It's hunting for a reason.
Exactly.
I talked to you earlier this season about it, Mm-hmm. You can cut it if you want to, but Nelson and I were having quite a few conversations during the season, and in regards to bow hunting.
Yep.
And Nelson has taken the time to prepare himself. Well, he might have waited till the season, but he was still preparing himself, getting out there, changing stand locations, setting up.
I'm pretty bad about that.
Leaving work early or a little early.
Yeah.
Or
I was trying to get off about 10 minutes earlier just to get out there and get 10 minutes in.
Exactly. And setting up and hunting hard and just not having the success that he felt like he needed to have out there. And so at times, bow hunting, it's not about going out there and killing the biggest deer by any means. For me, it's more of the peace, the getaway, of course.
Yeah.
But the reward is so rewarding. You want to get out there and kill that biggest deer, but don't let not seeing a couple of deer in a stand time or 2 stand times, or let's say you set 9 stand times and you didn't see a deer, because that 10th one, you literally could kill the biggest deer of your life. You never know. Yeah. Of all people.
Mm-hmm. That sucker hunted hard, though.
Giant.
He did.
Giant.
On public land. Wasn't it public land? Or it was off public land?
But it was a giant.
I think it was public land.
It was public, yes.
It was public land. That's awesome. That was a giant. I think it's 26 inches wide.
You probably know the story a little bit better than me.
I don't.
I never called him up, never talked to him about it. I just saw the picture, and when I saw it, I was so happy for him. But it was one of those things. It's like it was a little discouraging too, because I was trying to compare that deer to the biggest deer that I had.
Yep.
No comparison whatsoever.
A little quote from Teddy Roosevelt: "Comparison is a thief of joy."
Ooh.
That'll hit you hard if you think about it. I got it on a sticky note.
Preaching over here.
I got it on a sticky note in front of my computer screen at work.
That's good.
That's good.
It's a good way to look at
reminder.
Some deer and life.
Deer and life. Doesn't matter what it is. So, but yeah, that was a great deer. I just congratulated him. Yeah. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions just because I know he's hyped up about it. I might talk to him later about it.
Such a nice deer.
Definitely.
But back to what we were talking about, it's preparation, and what I was trying to prepare for during the COVID adventures or whatnot is get out there and go ahead and figure out a spot. Dude, I'll take so much time looking around, finding a spot, what I want, and then I'll go pick a tree and realize that it's not the tree that I want to be in.
Yeah, I know.
I'm looking for places to hang my bow, places to stand, places to shoot through, etc. I'm looking through all these things, all these different variables.
Yeah, you got to have all the different variables, but sometimes I think we overthink it.
True.
I think we do. I'm very guilty about it. But you want the perfect stand. You see all these pictures on Instagram, like, oh, that's an awesome stand.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. And then you find that perfect spot or that perfect stand, but it's not in the right location.
Yeah.
So you might see some deer 45 yards out of range.
Right.
And, I mean, I wish I was in that tree right beside them. And then you go move it, and then they're over there back where you were.
It's part of the hunting game,
I know.
without a doubt. But if you do pick a tree, because there's going to come a time where you're going to pick a tree, and it might not be the best spot, but you can make it like basically fit your standards. In other words,
yeah,
I like having all my hangers and stuff up there and everything positioned properly, so I can either reach in my bag if needed, pull out my scent checker.
Well, that's pretty key. So like when you're up there and then you got deer in the field, and you just gotta slowly get in your stuff, and you know where everything's at. Right. It's just being organized.
Yes.
And you can see this room right now. I'm not very organized. I'm gonna be organized here once I get the stuff taken care of. But it is what it is. Hunting season makes me a mess. You should see my truck.
No, I have for sure. But yeah, it's just getting out there and hanging stands in those certain locations that you want to hang your stands during the season. That's what I focused on the other day. But since we are talking about stands real quick, it's the first time I ever used these, recommended by you. Best purchase I made this season, without a doubt.
Hang on steps.
Hang on steps.
Yes, sir.
Best thing that I purchased this season for my my bow hunt adventures.
Well, you've been using those little screw-in pegs forever, and those things will wear you out. I used to use them when I was younger, and then I bought a set of they're hang-on steps, but they were like a 20-foot ladder, and you just leaned up against a tree, then ratchet strap it on, and that works great too. But the individual steps follow the curve of the tree so much better, and then all trees aren't straight, by the way, so they help, and they hang on steps, and they have new ones nowadays that are a little better than what we got, but hang on steps are where it's
hang on steps. They save you time.
Definitely.
Now they were, since it was the first time I used them this season, I was a little sketched out.
Yeah. Well,
if you don't buckle them properly and you go to step up on them, and let's say the seatbelt material is turned the opposite way, the teeth on the back side of the buckle is not going to catch that. So when you put your foot up there, of course, it's going to slip out underneath you. But having it's the lineman's tool, it's the safety, it's catching mechanism that you use.
The lineman belt?
Yes.
Or are you talking about the knot thing?
It's a knot thing that wraps around your harness, kind of.
Oh, yeah, lineman's belt.
Yeah. That thing right there, too. I used that this season for the first time. And it was awesome.
For sure. You can go hands-free while hanging stand, and it makes it so much safer and easier. I'm pretty bad about using one arm and putting stuff together.
Yeah.
Just because I've done it. I'm like a monkey in a tree, but, you better be safe than sorry. Or however that's supposed to go.
We were doing...
It's better safe than sorry. Not you better be safe than sorry.
We were doing construction work and for on the interior part of the house. Well, no. It was exterior. But still, we were putting this cedar lining on this big steel beam.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, it was like 20 foot up. And we're working off a scaffold. I've never worked off one.
Yep.
And unfortunately... it wasn't as secure as I wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. Therefore, so you'd move around and then the scaffold would shift. It would just like rotate a little bit.
Scaffolding's kind of sketchy sometimes.
And my boss at the time, he was like, I ain't going to fall. Because I was like, you be careful, because he was up there and I was handing him stuff. I was like, you be careful. He said, I'll promise you one thing. He said, if this scaffolding falls out underneath my feet, he said, I'll be jumping on something. And when I was hanging, when I was hanging my stand though, and I had my lineman's belt on, if for some reason I was to fall out, I would have been grabbing limbs on the way down.
It's kind of funny when you said that. I think of like if I'm gonna fall, I'm always looking for like something to like a little smaller tree to jump for.
Right.
But they say like when it happens, it just happens so fast, like you don't even think about it. So like, I don't know what. Hopefully we never fall. So wear them safety harnesses, guys, when you're hanging stands. And just be safe out there.
I noticed you have a Garmin watch on too. I have the Apple Watch, and I really like using the Apple Watch in the stand. And I don't know if, unfortunately, since I don't have mine on today, if it has a setting to call like an emergency contact.
Oh, really?
But if nowadays with modern technology, if you have a Garmin watch or even an Apple Watch, I'm sure you could.
I don't know about this one, but I'm sure like
maybe contact
this is an older one, but
an emergency contact if needed.
Like a little emergency button.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got one of those little Garmin InReach. Mm-hmm. It's like a emergency satellite phone, but I take it up when I go elk hunting just in case of an emergency.
Oh yeah.
It's got an SOS button and it sends like coordinates to first responders or whatever, and they can come in and find you.
That's awesome.
So it's a pretty good little tool to have when you're out there, and just be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you got a family to come back to, even if you're not married or nothing. You got friends and family that everybody everybody
pet,
loves
like
you.
A dog or something,
Or a pet. I know Annie would hate for me not to come home.
Well, we don't have to keep talking about it. But the reason why I did mention it though is my uncle. He's close to 50 now, and it happened about 5 years ago. He went to climb down his tree stand, and when he did, he just wasn't paying attention, wasn't looking. Mm-hmm. It's just habit. It's the routine of things. You're like, man, I got this. I've literally climbed this 100 stands. I've gotten down 100 times. Look, I'm going to be getting down safe.
Yeah.
And he just didn't look and hyperextended his leg. Ended up having to get his boy out there, carrying him out with the full weather.
Yeah,
but
it's not good. Yeah, wear them safety harnesses. Make sure when you're prepping for deer season this year, or make sure when you're prepping for deer season this year, to change out your straps if you need to.
Yes, or even add on. I tend to add on.
I don't add on. I always just swap them out.
I add on just in a different location, but still securing the because I use the hang on, the little $50 hang on stands. Yeah. I will never buy another one from Walmart that I have to build myself. I will buy one pre-built because the hassle of that was a little too much for me. And,
you should have just brought it over to the house. I could have put it together for you.
No, I understand. I put it together. It was just the platform of it was a little angled up, and I hated it. I didn't hate it, just disliked it.
Well, that's what you get. When you buy cheaper equipment, you get what you pay for. But it is what it is. So, yeah.
To prepare, get on Amazon right now. Look for a stand. Get some hang-on steps.
Hang on. Yeah.
Get you a pair of those. Get 3 pairs, 4 pairs, however many you need. Honestly, you're trying to get 20 foot up, I recommend getting 3 sets.
3 sets. Well, it depends on which brand you buy, though.
I want to have one above me as well.
I always do. Yeah, I do too. Depends on what brand you get. Some of them are a little shorter and a little longer. My set, 4 steps can get me 20 foot.
Okay.
3 steps will give me about 16, but I always use the 4th one for like a little pull up.
Yeah.
And sometimes I bring those little if you can, if you're on public lands, it might be a different story. But like on private property, you can screw in the tree. Sometimes I'll bring an extra little screw-in peg, and just for an extra handhold, just a little like above my tree stand, and then I hang my backpack on it too.
Yeah.
So it's a good little tip for you. So I'm excited about
just get prepared.
I'm excited about preparing for this season and doing a little habitat work on our farm and watching it all come together. Which habitat management on your property it's not like happens overnight. Kind of like building a hotel. It takes a while. So get out there, improve your property, look at your neighbor's property and see what they have that you don't have, and maybe make yours better, and attract those deer, attract those turkeys, make good nesting sites. Once you do that, all wildlife will thrive on your property, from the birds, the bees, the butterflies,
hopefully
the rats.
not the bees, though. I do not like wasp in the stand either. Man,
I'm not talking about wasps. I'm talking about bees.
But
bees are really good. Bees pollinate the trees.
There you have it.
So get out there and prepare for season.
Just got roasted before we closed this series of
get off
the outdoor talk.
Yes, sir. Turkey season's coming up. So
thanks for tuning in.
Go before me. All right, thank y'all for listening to this episode of the Outdoor Talk Podcast. We talked a little bit about management of your properties, hanging stands, preparation for next season, and just get out there, be safe, and we'll catch you on the next podcast.
Peace.